Hi gang, Rob here. It is the evening of 23 March 2015, and thus begins the final installment, number 6.0 in the TKP of 2015, that is Traditional Knife Pilgrimage to Titusville, Pennsylvania, and the fourth and final part in the GEC, Great Eastern Cutlery portion of the series. We're going to cover tonight the hafting process of a traditional pocket knife at GEC through the finishing process and sharpening, the end of the line. And I'm really kind of sad it's over. In this series, I've probably taken almost 5 hours of raw video, over 3 of those at Great Eastern Cutlery. Got to meet some wonderful people and learn a lot about what goes into making these spectacular pocket tools. So we're going to meet some neat folks in this portion, and I think you're going to leave this series with a pretty good perspective on these pocket knives, and you're going to be glad to have gotten a glimpse into the lives and jobs of some pretty cool people. So take it away, William Howard. Let's get this final leg done. Enjoy it, guys.
Now the parts leave assembly and they come to our hafting line. You can see this is Rob. What he's going to start out by doing is he's got these pins sticking out the side of his knife and he wants to grind them down. One, they're a little longer than they need to be. Two, before you rivet them, they need to be nice and flat, the head of them. But when you nip the pins, they have a little hill on them basically. Right. So he's sanding them down flat.
So now they're ready to rivet.
Yep. Okay. Now he'll go back to his...
So Rob is known as the caveman?
Yeah, on occasion.
Apparently he likes that.
What he's doing is he's putting a little oil in the joints. Now he's going to take... basically it's a witch again, but oftentimes we use a spring, and he's loading it into the knife. That's to keep the belly of the knife from collapsing as he rivets, or as he hand beams this rather.
So what can go wrong at this stage of the process?
Well, a couple of things. He can over-peen this, if that's a term. As he's hitting that pin, if he hits it too hard, if he doesn't hit it at the right angle, they can cause some problems. What he's checking for right now is to make sure the blade still functions. So if he hits that pin too hard or over-peens it, it's kind of like putting your knife in a vise. There's too much friction for the blades to operate properly.
Right.
And so you see him making sure that the blades still open and close by themselves. If he has that pin hit too tight, then the blades won't close or open on their own. You can see him checking that.
So you want them to open freely and close freely by themselves, right. With no side play.
Well, yes, you're also trying to eliminate that as well. So now he's going to...
Showing off the split back.
Yeah, he's going to start working on the back of it. So what he has here is a belt sander with a really heavy grit. And he's working the back and the rounds of the bolsters across this very heavy grit sandpaper. And what he's doing is he's trying to blend all those materials together. So you have your handle material, your 2 springs, your tapered spacer in the middle, and he's trying, you can already see it on the light there, he's trying to blend all those together so when you run your hand across the back of your knife you don't feel all those individual layers.
And that's one thing you guys are better at than anybody. And you have the caveman to thank for that.
Now he comes over here and he's doing the same operation basically, but But here you can see a little bit of that coloring I was telling you about. So on his belt, he actually has 2 grits. And one side where we've basically removed some of the grit and added some grease. We call it grease. And so you see him constantly going from one side of the belt to the other.
So it's like a wax?
Kinda, yeah. And what that does is it removes as much of the sandpaper lines as possible and gives us a very shiny finish. So it's something that almost looks like it's been buffed or polished. And we accomplished that on a sandpaper belt. Now he has to be careful how he's doing this, obviously. Every time he puts it on that wheel, he has to make sure he's holding it at the right angle. If he tips it one way or the other, he's going to removing material from the side of the knife, or you'll even see 2 different grinds almost when you run the light across the back of the knife. 2 different angles, you know.
Right. It's like faceted when you don't want it to be. So there it is.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Now, are you doing kinking? Are you kinking? This is where Rob is sitting now. Is what's called a kick press. That kick press is what we use to kink the blades.
Gotcha.
Okay, so on this particular knife, we have a very small amount of room for these 2 blades to fit in there. We've done as much of the work grinding the blades to get them to go where we want with this kinking process allows us to fine-tune it, basically make very small adjustments to how the blades lie in the knife. So you can see he lays the blade on there, and as he pushes with his foot, it brings down a wedge. And that wedge is placed right on the shoulder where we've softened it, and as he kicks with his foot, it bends the blade. So depending on how he lays it on there, he might want to bend the blade to the left or bend the blade to the right. See him checking it as he closes it.
So we got a perfectly aligned whittler now.
Absolutely. Yeah, with this one, there's very little room for the blades to go through. You had to make sure to get these so close to the scale, but not too close where they're rubbing. So you might be able to stick like a hair between there. And then you have to make sure to get the clip blade here right in the middle. Any more towards the side, it's going to be chipping on the other blades.
Guys, this is a very ambitious pattern. It's very long, and that main blade extends way into the secondaries.
Yeah, and they're a lot of fun to kink and rivet.
I imagine so. You have to have young eyes for that.
Oh yeah.
This is going to be a satin finish knife that he's working on, but we want to hit the tangs and the shoulder of the blade very quickly here on a heavy buffing wheel, and that helps to remove any scratches, any remaining grind lines in that area. So he does all 3 blades. If this were going to be a polished finished blade, he would do quite a bit more buffing here on him.
Right.
And then he's going to pass it off to Dick. 30-some years. He's very good at what he does, and I will try to explain it in less time than it takes him to do it.
Which probably isn't easy.
Yeah. So the first thing he's going to do is he's going to check the walk of the blades again. So we just sanded a whole bunch of material off the back of the knife, and sometimes that can affect the opening and closing. So you can see him checking the blades. Again, they should pop closed and pop open at a certain point by themselves.
So if Dick's been making knives for 30 years, he was a pretty good find for GEC.
Yep. Okay. So he's he's going to start on the bolster. So you can see there's that pin still in there, and he's going to stand up to the side here. He's going to turn the bolster. So what he's doing is he's trying to blend that pin into the bolster. He's also doing a little bit of work on the handle. So the handle should blend into the bolster. You shouldn't feel the transition. And of course you shouldn't feel the pin or see the pin in most cases. He's done already. But that's really one of the most difficult jobs.
Wow.
Especially if it's a lined or dimpled bolster or anything like that.
Is he doing any work in the shield area?
Well, that's what he's going to do right now. He's going to do a quick sanding on the surface of the handle. And this operation varies depending on the handle material. What he's basically doing is preparing the handle to be colored over here.
That's beautiful.
Okay. So now, if you look at this belt, you can see what I was talking about. The one side is darker than the other. That's the coloring. You can see him, he's touching up the handle again. Our handles are nicely contoured, so that's what you see him doing here. We've already shaped it to a certain extent, and he's just touching it up here.
We're getting there. So there's a lot of feel involved in what he's doing, isn't there? I got the pull.
So now you see him work from left to right. So he's working on that left side a lot of times where there's more grit on the belt, and then he moves to the right where there's almost no grit there.
Now, you call this coloring. Why that term?
Well, it's probably a better question for Bill, but it could be that you see the two different colors on the belt, or the fact that we're doing a type of polishing operation, kinda, brings out a lot of the shine in the knife.
Okay.
He's going to start buffing.
With a big old hunk of rouge there, huh?
He does it pretty quick, but he has to be careful how he places that on there. And a lot of the work he's doing, you see he's actually holding the blade as he's buffing the handle.
I saw that.
If he were to place that on there wrong,
So Dick was born with 12 fingers, which made him a good candidate for a cutler.
Why don't you come over? There you go.
Oh, there we go. Dick, how many fingers have you lost doing that?
What's that?
How many fingers have you lost doing that?
Well, I still got them all.
Still got all 12 of them?
They might be cut up a little bit. They're still there.
And then he's going to polish same areas. He's going to polish the handle, polish the bolsters, the back of the knife, the belly of the knife. this knife, it's a satin finish, so it would have gone down here where Bill is actually. You can see Bill down there putting the satin finish on the blades. If it were a polished finish, we'd be doing the polishing up here on the blades.
So he's at the double header.
Yes. Here's the knife that Dick is finished. So
Wow.
you can see this is what we started out with.
What we started out with and what you get when Dick's done with it.
Yep.
Beautiful. And
Thank
you,
you, Dick.
you just started here last week, Dick,
Yeah.
right? Made your first knife, what, a couple days ago?
This is about my third knife, I think.
About 30 years experience, right?
Yeah, at least.
Awesome.
So when Dick is done with the tray of knives, they would come down here to our inspection area, and show you the tray. So they would come over here, and you can see this is the 38 whittler,
They are beautiful.
and the first thing Nancy would do with them is she would put them in this tank here that has oil in it, and the oil is heated up, and the knives are placed in there, and what that does is that helps to get a lot of the compound and the rouge out of the inside of the knife. It can prevent the blades from functioning properly. And she would take them out and blow them out here under the hood, and she brings them over here to the table where she inspects. So you see she's got a big magnifier here, so she's looking for any flaws in the knife. She's making sure it functions properly. Anything she does find that's wrong with them, if we can fix it, they get sent back to be fixed.
That's really a mythical concept at GEC, though. No bad knives ever come to you, right? They're all perfect.
Right. Right.
Some of them, you know, we can't fix, like cracked handles or things like that, in which case those get kicked out as seconds. But if they do pass the inspection here, they would go over to be honed, which is what Patty does.
Hi.
And hopefully she'll have a knife to hone for us.
Oh, you want to show them before?
This is the edge. It's edge ready,
So let's
right?
see what we
it's,
got.
it's very thin.
Of course, you know, some guy on YouTube says all your knives leave the factory edge ready. I don't know who that is.
Well, by edge ready, I mean it's thin enough to be honed. You can see how thin that is.
So Patty doesn't know that I'm the guy that said that, right?
I don't know what.
Never mind.
What did he say?
I'm here to learn from you. Let's see what we got. Oh yeah.
Now we'll buff it, take the burrs off, and make it sharper.
You did that one hand freehand. Now is this a soft wheel with compound?
Yeah, this is compact paint. Works like a straw.
It's going away from her now. Patty?
I'm very happy with that.
Our knives are tested,
That's it.
every single one of them.
I would say that's some of your better work right there. How long you been doing this, Patty?
I'm going on 8 years.
Over here is where we would etch the blades. So some of our knives say Titty Ute or Northfield on them. This one's sitting the Triple P
Prototype, right?
No.
Premier.
Oh,
Pattern Production Premiere.
Pattern Production Premiere. I've seen that before, but I don't have any knives that say that. Old Steve Netton does, though. And you guys, your etch is an acid, right?
Yeah. Then she would put some fresh oil on it and oil the joints, and you can see a bunch from here that are done. And then they would be wrapped in our wax paper and placed into.
Well, that, my friends, brings the Great Eastern Cutlery portion of TKP 2015 to a close. And I'm kind of sorry to have ended this one so abruptly at the end of the manufacturing line. Frankly, I was about worn out from taking video by the time we got to the Titty Ute tubes for the number 38 Grinling Whittler. And I probably should have spent a little more time at the end wrapping it up, maybe with Bill and William and Chris. And by the way, you didn't see this on camera, but we spent probably another half hour, 45 minutes just hanging around talking before I left. And I found Mr. Howard to be an extremely warm human being. And a guy that cares so much about his workforce and about the products that he makes, and he really understands the place of Great Eastern Cutlery in American traditional pocket knife history. I actually asked Bill before I headed out, I said, Bill, were you aware, did you ever dream in 2006 when you poured everything you had into Great Eastern Cutlery that 9 years later in 2015 we would be in the beginning stages of a traditional pocket knife renaissance, and GEC would be at the forefront of it? And he looked me in the eye and he said, that was my plan. Well, your plan's working out pretty well, Bill. I want to thank you specifically for your hospitality, for your openness, and for teaching me some things today. I don't know of any other company who does what GEC does, or anything like it, who just with a phone call and an email would welcome you in and let you take pictures and video and talk to your staff. Not only is Bill a great conservator of the traditional pocket knife industry and the art form, really, he's also just a great human being. He cares about his customers, his fans, other people who are aficionados of traditional pocket knives. Just a superb guy. Love to spend more time with him. Speaking of spending more time with them, I'm going to show you guys this flyer I left with. This is the Great Eastern Cutlery factory tour handout, and it tells you sort of everything that you need to know about stopping by Great Eastern Cutlery. So if any of you are interested, feel free to pause the video and read this flyer. And check this out, boys and girls. From August 6th to August 8th of 2015 is going to be the GEC Rendezvous. This is like a gathering, a reunion for the GEC faithful. Literally hundreds or thousands of people will show up. There will be food, there will be drink, there will be special knives available to be won by raffle, I think, and some special runs available for purchase. That is the 6th through the 8th of August. If you want more details, just give Chris a call. Once again, all the contact information, web address information for GEC will be in the description of this video. Should be an awesome time. I'm going to try to go. Also, before we leave, special thanks to some people who had no idea that they showed up for work last Thursday to be in a YouTube video. And I want to thank them individually. I hope you guys watched the video, and thank you for your time. Thank you for hosting me. Thanks for showing me what you do. First, I want to thank Luann in the assembly department of Great Eastern Cutlery, and Rob, the caveman, in the hafting line. Dick, who works both the hafting line and final finishing. He's the guy who started making knives a couple weeks ago, and he was working on his 3rd knife when we were there. That's not true. Dick's been in the cutlery industry for a very long time. In fact, he showed a young Bill Howard some of the ropes of making a knife back in the day. Thank you to Nancy in final inspection, and maybe my most heartfelt thanks go to Patty, who hones every finished Great Eastern Cutlery knife. I sort of like to think of myself as a knife sharpener, and I have such great respect for somebody who sits at a grinder, or 2 different grinders in this case, and puts a final edge on a masterpiece of traditional folding cutlery every day she goes to work. And I learned a couple things from Patty, and if you noticed, Patty's kind of proud of what she does, and she should be. Thanks also to William Howard, Bill's son, and to Chris Tucker, our host when we got here this morning. All great people I really loved spending time with. Thank you so much for taking up half your day just to help with this video series. Can't thank you enough. I'm so grateful for getting to spend some time with you guys today. That wraps it up, my friends. Can't wait to hear from you in the comments of this video and the others in this series. It has been a blessing to be able to provide this for you. Hope you liked it. Grace to you and peace, my friends, from God our Father and the Lord Jesus Christ. And remember, the Word and all these Great Eastern Cutlery knives are sharp.